I think racism is anytime you're judging, other people based on what you perceive to be, a different ethnic background or race than your own.
I think people are racist because there's a disconnect, that people fear what they don't know, and sometimes if you're not introduced to another culture, you can tend to have prejudices towards them. And there's also institutionalized racism that's purposefully done.
According to history, it's always been seen as black people being inferior to white people or other races.
Anyone can be racist. It's just a matter of being racist is just finding something that's different to the other person. But once you confront that barrier and say, same thing again, we're all the same people, we're all human beings on earth, then it's fine. There is no more racism. You just gotta see it as a person who's colorblind.
Sometimes when I understand, if I get into a situation where there are white people and I either have to defend myself or be aware of myself, I can develop attitudes towards white people, and I could probably be sometimes called a racist if that is what racism is. If you develop an attitude towards people or a prejudice against them, I guess that
But
is
don't
what...
you think you have a right to have that prejudice because of everything you experienced during apartheid? So maybe not me necessarily because I was a baby, but you have an ingrained fear from those people because of everything they actually did to you. And
Yeah,
you haven't still
so for me it's
benefited.
not really a fear. With me it's more of an anger.
Yeah,
So my racism towards them would probably come from that angle.
I could put it in a way, we see people are bitter. People are bitter, people are angry, people are revengeful. We have come from an apartheid era. I know they say Guto Mandela has what, but remember Mandela is not the only one who fought for democracy. He's not the only one, but then praise, sharp, it's fine. We understand that, we praise that, we respect that. But remember, what they did to us, what they did to us, or to our ancestors, if I may say, it comes back now. And remember, there's EFF, there's your DA, there's your ANC. They bring all these things back. And when you teach someone into Zangaphandle, they put them la manje. Because now, manje, I could say, I tolerate other races. Ne? But I'm not saying I'm not a racist. I'm a racist. Black people are racist. White people are racist. If I don't like someone else, I'm a racist. If the other person, I'm a racist. These people, we're all racist in a way.
So I think racism as the construct of racism, of the oppressing of another culture, of another race, we can't do that because we don't have the power to oppress. However, we can be very prejudiced, and especially if we're grown up to hate certain people, then yeah, we can be bigoted. But technically, no, we can't be racist.
So for me, especially from where I come from, I've experienced it firsthand. Believe it or not, in a democratic country, I've experienced it firsthand, where I've been called the K word. I've never ever learned that word. I just had to ask my mom, hey, I got called this at school, what is it? Yeah, so I think it's also how the older generation teaches the younger generation to treat each other, because you learn hate. You're not born with it.
Oh, I think it's because of the history. It's because there were like a lot of bad things had happened, so they're still not forgotten, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's still this gap, and this gap between rich and poor, and it's very hard to overcome and to make something out of yourself just by being good at school and going to the right university. I think it should be made more easily to well, be rewarded for a good performance.
People are probably racist because they are taught racism, or because none, as we know, you grow up, you don't know race, you can't distinguish. So people are taught that because others are different, they are either less or they are better. And it is all taught either in the home or the community.
I think people are scared of each other. I also think people are jealous of each other. I don't know what caused the original racism, what was in the minds of the people to be scared of us that colonized not only this continent, but the Caribbean as well as America. I think people are scared of the power and the skills that we have, and they don't want us to love ourselves. So they rather keep us down, make us hate each other, make us fight amongst each other, make us point out all the differences from each other, whether we're just American, South African, Haitian, Jamaican. They rather us divide. They rather see us divide amongst each other rather than us love each other and embrace who we are and where we come from.
So for me, I think it's a system of ignorance, but also it's heightened by fear. So I think racism is the root of fear more often than not. It's the same as xenophobia. We constantly tell people there's not enough. So when there's not enough, we're fighting over the little there is. And in order to distinguish ourselves, we're told there's not enough. Instead of there's not enough because of capitalism or corruption, we're told there's not enough because these people have moved here, and there's always people who don't look like you or people who don't sound like you weren't born in the same country. So you can be white and xenophobic, like when the Eastern Europeans came to the UK, and we're told they're stealing jobs, even though they weren't jobs you would have been interested in initially, to make what your plight, your personal plight. So when we see examples of Brexit, it's because certain communities were ignored by the British government, and then they're told to hate other people. So then Europe's become enemy number one. It's like Russia's enemy number one to the US. I think it's fear.
It will not get better until we see white people respect, black people respect. There is no other way until we respect each other and respect each other's values and conditions and wherever we go. A white person, I will tell you from experience, will not go to a location and fetch me if there's a strike in the location. But a white person cannot come to work if there's not a car. But I'm supposed to catch a taxi.
Why a division? Man, the white man, 700 years ago when he decided that land's going to be his and not the other person living there. And it's just been constructed that way for centuries and centuries. And, I've just visited Nelson Mandela's house. It's this idea of actually, no, you're not going to govern me anymore. We're going to govern each other and we're going to create the society together. And that's the racist intention that comes towards it. It's the other person who wants to confront this idea of who says what, and the person who does say what doesn't like it anymore. And that's where violence and racism comes around, the conflict that arises from these tensions between people.
I'm a light-skinned woman and I get so much privilege from the complexion of my skin, so that just proves how messed up the system still is today in terms of if someone walks in with the exact same skill set as me, they would rather take me because I still give them BEE, but I look more palatable to them. So there is still those systems that exist. And I think I'm still angry because black tax exists. The average white student gets to come out and their money is theirs. So they get to travel, they get to invest in a bond. Black kids don't have that.
First things first, people should stop pretending. If you're a racist, try not to involve yourself in environments where there's going to be people of color. Second of all, educate yourself in knowing that a person of a particular skin color can be just as smart, just as successful, and just as strong, and stop teaching the children the wrong things. Black people, it's not a black person thing to steal. It's not a black man's thing to rape. It's not a black thing, it's a people thing.
It starts with stuff like this. It starts with people asking these questions and really trying to get to the root of it all, as opposed to just saying, oh, well, this is just a racist world. White people are racist. Black people can be racist too. Instead of saying that, going, well, this is actually what racism is. It's a system that's been put in place a long time ago, and that if we want to start deconstructing it, we really have to start pinpointing how it was created and then go backwards. So I think, yeah, it definitely can. Through a lot as well, stuff like this, the arts, music, culture. Sometimes we use music to perpetuate racism by bigging up the stereotypes that bring us down. You know, talking about money and cars and this and that, instead of building our own wealth and coming back and rebuilding community. And so it starts from there, giving us that power to come together and tear it down.
Teach the white man that it's stupid. No, but it's true. The white man is sexist, the white man is racist, the white man is discriminative. If you just teach society from this age onwards that you're the same, whether you're black, white, woman, gay, whatever, then you have a better society, but it will take generations and generations. But we're on the right way already. But it's a matter of saying to people, you're just a human being against 7 other billion of them.
I think, okay, if we took a country like South Africa, I think we have to rectify the white privilege gap. So instead of it being a thing, I'm not for land distribution and the way that they're offering it, but what I am for is that there should be such a thing as white tax that's actually levied by the government, and every person who qualifies should be taxed, white tax, and then that money should go into a central system to rectify things for black people. So like allow them to go to Vassili, allow them to build homes, allow them ownership, because we know it's harder for a black person to get a business loan. So all of this money should go into that central place, and it should be taxed on white people, so you rectify that somewhere. We need economists around the world to see exactly what something like apartheid, civil rights costs us, and then work that out and then redistribute how we're going to get that money and give it to the people who need it in order to rectify their life and their existence, so that you can have a genuine financial level playing field. Because until you have the finances sorted, people are never going to be happy.
I don't think there is a solution in this unless if when it comes to racism, because you know some people, as I've said, some people when they are raised into their families, they are told never associate yourself with black people, never associate yourself with white people. So it's something that cannot end.
And I also think it starts with something small as just paying a compliment, showing love to one another, rather than just not talking to each other.
You know, if people are willing to be open-minded and experience other cultures and meet other people and realize how many things we all share, that we all have in common, then you understand that you know, the differences are very few.